With the help of Jos Verstappen, Red Bull is going through its biggest scandal in the history of its affiliation with Formula One. Now, it's a choice between Max Verstappen and Christian Horner. Where does this leave Red Bull when the dust is settled? Despite clinching an impressive 45 wins out of the last 67 races, uncertainty looms over Verstappen's future, with the saga involving the team's long-standing principal adding to the intrigue. In a dramatic twist, tensions within the Red Bull team bubbled to the surface after an investigation into Christian Horner's conduct was shelved last week. Adding fuel to the fire, Max Verstappen's father, Jos Verstappen, made a bold call for Horner's departure, accusing him of playing the victim despite being the source of the team's troubles. Amid swirling rumors tying him to a plush transfer to Mercedes, Max Verstappen finds himself at the center of Formula One's latest gossip mill. With Lewis Hamilton set to trade in his Mercedes gear for Ferrari colors in 2025, Verstappen's name has been tossed around as a potential replacement for the 7-time world champion. Yet despite being tethered to Red Bull until 2028, the question remains, can Verstappen and Christian Horner coexist amidst the turmoil sparked by his father's recent remarks? When asked about Red Bull having to decide between him or his boss, he said, "I saw a lot of stories about that, which is not very good to read. But from my side, what I want, and that doesn't matter who's involved in the team or not, is to have, of course, a quiet environment where everyone is happy to work." Verstappen's comments follow his decision not to distance himself from his father's outspoken stance on Horner. With a bond as tight as theirs, not to mention his manager Raymond Vermeulen in the mix, Verstappen suggested it would be weird to hold an opposing viewpoint. "I was with him until yesterday. We speak all the time. We're a team. It's me, my dad, and Raymond all together. That will always be like that also. But I guess he clearly felt like that. From my side, it doesn't matter being on one side or the other side. As a son of my dad, it'd be weird to be on a different side. But from my side, I just want to focus on the performance side of things. I just want to have less talk of what we are doing as a team outside of the track than the actual performance which, at the moment, I think we have a great car, and we're looking forward to a great year." When questioned about whether he thinks his father regrets his outspoken remarks concerning Horner, Verstappen responded, keeping the suspense alive, "I haven't asked him that. From how I know him, he's always very outspoken. He's not a liar, that's for sure." And about the rumors of him moving to Mercedes, Max Verstappen had an answer for that too. And his answer wasn't reassuring at all for Red Bull. He said, "Nobody would have seen that Lewis would move to Ferrari. You never know in general life what happens, or comes to you, or happens around you, or what might influence you. So you can never say 100% that that is how it is going to be. And that is the way I approach my life." George Russell, the stalwart at Mercedes who carries the team's endorsement to step up as the lead driver post-Hamilton's departure, was probed about the potential bombshell of Verstappen jumping ship from Milton Keynes to Brackley. With Russell and Verstappen having a minor tiff during last season's Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend, the British driver was pressed on his sentiments regarding the prospect of the Dutch driver becoming his teammate. Russell has no fear in his eyes, saying, "As I said last week in Bahrain, this is my 3rd season now alongside Lewis, the greatest driver of all time, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job alongside him. So whoever were to line up alongside me next year, or the years to come, I welcome anybody, and welcome the challenge. You always want to go against the best, but ultimately for me, I just focus on myself. I believe in myself. I believe I can beat anybody on the grid. You've just gotta have that mentality. Having Lewis as my benchmark for the last couple of years has been a pretty good benchmark for sure." Soon-to-be ex-Mercedes star Lewis Hamilton has weighed in on Jos Verstappen's involvement in the Red Bull saga, suggesting that it's not doing any favors for his son Max. When informed of Jos's remarks, his response was, "I don't know the details of it, so I don't know what he's basing these foundations off. But at the end of the day, he's not a part of the team. He's a parent, and so that's just an opinion, but it's definitely not helpful." Red Bull Racing has taken drastic action by suspending the employee who raised concerns with the F1 team's parent company. Meanwhile, Christian Horner found himself unwillingly thrust into a malicious sideshow after an email leak allegedly containing investigation details was circulated to hundreds of F1 personnel and media outlets. Horner and Verstappen Sr. were spotted in the paddock engaged in an animated discussion, followed by a handshake witnessed by the media. Yet despite this apparent reconciliation, Verstappen's comments were later published in the British media. Verstappen Sr., who publicly called for Horner's exit from Red Bull, is notably absent in Saudi Arabia due to a pre-planned rally commitment. Despite this, he remains a welcomed guest of the Red Bull racing team. When probed about Verstappen's remarks, Horner attempted to downplay the Dutchman's words during his media briefing ahead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I'm obviously aware of the comments that were made. There was a discussion subsequent to the race. Everyone's focus is very much on the future. The team's focus is very much on defending both of these world titles. Max's 3 successive world titles, the 55 victories of Max, the 114 victories we've achieved, and now sit tied with Williams on GP victories. Our focus is very much on the future. Discussions took place following the race in Bahrain, and we're all looking forward. After trying to deflect attention from the issue, Horner was pressed to clarify whether there had been any resolution between himself and Verstappen Sr. He said, "I think I'm not going to air all the discussions that are private between the parties, but discussions have been inevitably had. The team is focused on the challenges that are ahead of us, and the team is very focused on the season ahead, and, whilst we've had a very dominant race in Bahrain, we don't expect that in future races. We're acutely aware of our competitors, and you don't achieve what we've had by not being a united team. You need to be working in total harmony to achieve those kinds of races." As the tension mounts between his father and team boss, Max Verstappen finds himself in a tight spot, caught between 2 influential figures in his career. Despite clinching 3 world titles under Horner's leadership, Verstappen has been hesitant to fully back the under-fire team boss amidst the ongoing feud. Obviously, Max's father has played a key role in his career in getting him to F1, Horner said. Obviously, Jos is his own man, and Max is his own man as well. We've seen him go from being a teenager when he joined us to now very much a young man who's achieved what he has. It's not for me to comment on relationships between fathers and drivers. They're all unique between the different individuals. I spoke to Jos following the Grand Prix, and obviously congratulated him on his son's performance. I think it's in everyone's interest collectively that we've agreed to move on and focus on the future. We both have a vested interest in this to get the best cars, the best out of him. He's an outstanding talent, and hopefully, we can continue to provide him with a very competitive car. After enduring the humiliation of the leaked email contents, Horner expressed his willingness to move forward and leave the incident in the rearview mirror. There's been a constant source of one thing after another, and I think that there's been an awful lot of leakage around this, in what is a private and confidential matter between the employees and the company. Unfortunately, it's through that leakage that it's garnered an awful lot of coverage, and it's now time to focus on the track and going racing. It's time to move on. I don't know about you, but it sure sounds to me like wounds are far from healed. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.